Hello, thanks for joining me. Today, you can tell by the echo, we're in a small room. Actually in my bathroom, of all places. And we're going to do a home repair video today. We're going to show you how to repair a pedestal sink. Pedestal sinks have become really popular in the last 15 or 20 years because in a small space like this tiny little extra bathroom we have, they take up less room. They're also pretty easy to install. There's not any cabinetry involved in it, so you can see it stands right on the floor, thus the name pedestal. But it also presents a particular set of problems when it comes time to repair something on the sink. And right now, the main drain in the sink, that's the main drain hole here, where it comes down into the drain tube before it goes up through the P-trap and into the wall, is leaking. This had been lightly dripping for a while and I hadn't noticed because the water was building up behind the pedestal there, which is where we used to store our toilet paper. And it came to a head when I looked behind there at the toilet paper and there were 3 rolls that were soaking wet and ruined. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's like a crisis right now. I mean, almost nothing worse can happen than losing 3 rolls of toilet paper, right? So figured we had to fix this ASAP. And it's leaking between the trap and the drain basket up here on top. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to remove the drain assembly from the sink itself and the tailpiece of the drain assembly from the trap mechanism. Let's see if we can get down in there and show you what we're talking about. We're not on the pedestal right now, but there's the trap assembly, and then further behind it, I don't think you can see it from here, is the actual part of the drain assembly that comes down. Alright, this is the new pop-up drain assembly. I purchased at Home Depot for $13, and it's silver plated, even though since it's hidden back it really doesn't have to be, but this has the built-in pop-up drain assembly for pop-up stopper assembly, and this is where the control arm for that hooks in at, and all the parts are included here, including the pop-up rod, the basket, the pop-up connector. Everything you need to hook it up is included here in this kit. And the other nice thing is it includes the bottom bevel washer and the top bevel washer, so I should not need a packet full of plumber's putty on this particular one. I'm just going to go with the actual rubber seals and skip the plumber's putty. So it's going to be pretty straightforward to replace this. And the end piece, this is what we call the tail piece of the drain right here. This is what's leaking. Somewhere in here is where it's leaking at on my drain. And this will slide right into the compression fitting of the trap. And we'll show you all that as we get further into it and get it closer to being done. But the hard part on these is getting down behind there and taking it apart. So the bowl assembly here itself sits on the pedestal. I've got a layer of caulk around it to hold it in place and keep it from jiggling. And I also have 2 bolts anchored through the base of the pedestal. Let's see, I'm going to show you. Like right below where my hand is here, underneath on side, into the studs in the wall to keep it totally mounted to the wall. So the whole thing is firmly mounted to the wall with those 2 bolts, and then it's secured to the floor to keep from flopping by the pedestal, which is setting on caulk on both ends. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the water supply lines, disconnect the drain from the trap, and then the 2 bolts that go into the studs in the wall, take those out. Then I'm going to try and lift this whole sink basin up and off of the pedestal and flip it upside down so I can replace the drain assembly. Unless by chance I'm able to reach my hand around back there in that tight space and undo everything and pull the drain out from on top. But I don't really think I'm going to be able to do that because I've tried to reach up in there and it's pretty tight fit. But let's see how it goes, shall we? Alright, let's have a look at this. This is the area where your drain comes down through the sink. And this is your bottom jam nut here with a rubber bevel washer on top. This is your diverter outlet for your little arm that goes up and down to raise and lower the stopper. And this is the tailpiece that screws into the solid brass body of the drain assembly. And what happened is, you can see the tailpiece rusted off and separated right there. Let's pull it right on out. You can see it's just like totally rusted and shot. So throw that away. I see the brass tailpiece pushes up in from the bottom. So when you get it all out and empty, anyway, this slides up from the bottom with the diverter outlet facing the back wall. So it's going to slide up like that. And before you slide up in, you want to make sure you've got it lowered. There's a bunch of threads on here. You want to make sure it's lowered down to the very lowest position. And once you get it up in place, there's a nut, which is actually this silver part here on the outer ring, has threads inside of it. And you're going to take that, while you're holding it from underneath, you're going to push it down into here and twist it until it's hand tight. And here's what's left of the original one. I couldn't get it to screw off, so you can see by the cut marks in it there and the cut marks in this. I used a small 1/2-inch cutting disc on a Dremel tool, and I made like 3 cuts, 2 there and then 1 more that you can't see there. And then the ring popped right off, and this dropped out from the back side, and it was all good. And then you clean it up real good, drain the drain cover with the rubber seal on top, and then the lock nut and shaft with the rubber seal here on the bottom. You push it up into place, hand tighten this as far as it'll go. It goes down all the way tight and then it stops. It doesn't go very far, it only goes like 3 or 4 turns and stops. Once it stops, you get underneath and you hold this in place facing the wall, and you spin the lock nut so that the rubber washer pushes upward and starts to squeeze against the bottom of the sink. And then that's where it gets interesting with the tight working space you have behind there. It's almost impossible to get a wrench on it. So what I did, since the new ones, it worked out really well because the new one's like chrome coated plastic and it's really smooth to turn and easy to spin. So what I did is I got one of my kids to push down with this couple of thumbs really hard on the outer edges of this drain ring. That compressed the rubber nice and tight and made it easier for me to get in behind with my hand like this up in there and spin that big chrome nut that covers the new tailpiece. Once I got that all set, then there was a simple matter of hooking the lever back up on the bottom with the arm that you see sticking out the back. And you can see how that's hooked up right there. Pretty basic drain hookup with a little squeeze clamp that holds the arm in place on the little one, what you call that connector, I guess we call that the connector bar that has all the holes drilled in it. You can pick which one you need depending on the height of your sink and the distance down of your drain pipe. And a little squeeze clip holds it in place, keeps it from sliding up and down and away from where it needs to be. And basically a lot of the other connections are just hand tight. The little ball connector on the back of the arm is hand tight, and the connectors on the P-trap are hand tight on top, on the one that goes over the tailpiece, and one that hooks onto the other half of the trap here is where I took it off. This one I could have took it off here, but it's easier to take the bottom one off. And just hold it steady when you're taking it off because it's going to be full of water. Alright, here we're looking at the drain lift mechanism with the little lock ring and the ball around it. And then on top above that you can see the compression washer and the large jam nut that screws upwards and compresses the washer against the base of the sink. That's one of the key areas you got to watch for leaks at when you're putting one of these together. And then down there you can see the adjustable snap ring, or whatever you want to call that locking mechanism that goes on the flat bar connector up to the drain lift. And if you look further down, you can see where it goes into, tailpiece goes into the P-trap and gets screwed down tight with those 2 little wings on that top nut. And we're going to clean everything up here, dry everything off, and make sure there's no leaks. Alright, all done and cleaned up. Look at that, how nice and freshed up it looks with a new stopper in there and everything. Look at that. Up, down, up, down, up. And the new ones are magnetic. They don't have that little hook situation set up in them, so you can just grab it and pull it right out if you ever need to clean it. It's got a little magnet in there, right where you're looking at there, that catches a little metal pin down inside and makes everything work just dandy. There you go, down and up, down and up. Alright, now this didn't turn out to be a great video because honestly I couldn't get to where I was working at to actually show you really well what I was doing. So what I'm going to have to do is just kind of explain it. I feel bad about that, but it was just turned into one of those projects that didn't really work out well. And sometimes it happens. And then you put it all back together and you're all done. And you've got a nice clean sink that, look at that, works just like new. The water goes down and you even have a stopper that works again. Look at that, isn't that great? That's how a drain's supposed to work, with nothing running on the floor behind it. Alright, well, sorry this video wasn't as good as it could have been, but I promise I did the best I could under the circumstances. And if you need any help or advice with one, feel free to message me at my email, darylturcott@gmail.com, or leave a comment with a question. I'll get back to you as soon as I see it, which is usually within an hour or two. Have a great day. Bye for now.